And what else are we expecting worse to happen to wake us up? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Dear brothers and sisters, the religion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with, truly we have failed to prove that we deserve this ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I say this with full responsibility, we have failed to prove that we truly deserve this ni'mah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. None of us really asked Allah to make us Muslims, right? At least those of us who were born as Muslims. It was sheer bounty and the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to choose us among millions and billions around to be part of this noble faith. To be part of this noble faith. And how did Rasulullah define and describe this faith? Ad-deenu an-nasiha. Deen is all about wishing well for others. Wishing well for others. And Rasulullah said, Al-Muslim man salima al-Muslimuna min lisani wa yadihi. The true Muslim is the one from whose hand and tongue other Muslims are safe. Other Muslims are safe. And so when Rasulullah described the Muslims this way, in another hadith, Prophet ﷺ, speaking on this, said, لا تباغضوا ولا تحاسدوا ولا تدابروا ولا تقاطعوا. Do not harbor grudge, animosity, enmity towards each other. Do not turn back to each other. Do not harm each other. وَكُونُوا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ إِخْوَانًا. Be like true ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How much sacrifice our Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam made, and what did he make it for? Made for all of the sacrifice. What would be the state of our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam if he were to visit, if he were to see the conditions today? This is not what I made all of this sacrifice for. Right? We only increase ourselves in volume, quantity, but fail to increase us in quality. Right? Fail to increase us in quality. And that is very, very sad part. Ramadan, dear brothers and sisters, because has come once again in our life, raising all of these questions before us to think seriously. To think seriously that this could be perhaps the last Ramadan in my life. Abu al-Faraj al-Jawziyya rahimahullah ta'ala said, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were to allow the people who of the grave, those who have died as Muslims, and to give them the chance to express one wish that they regret over and that they wish to have, that just, Allah, if you could give us one day of Ramadan in our life, just one day of Ramadan in our life, to make up all of the ill and the evil that we had done. Just one day of Ramadan. Right? That's a month that we have been blessed with. These are the very special moments. But look at our conditions. And this time is the best of the times. The best of the times. It is a time for us to do the soul searching and to change our conditions and to increase our beauty in character. Right? We aim and wish to go to Jannah through our ibadah in the month of Ramadan, don't we? Because Ramadan is a month of forgiveness. But we will never be able to attain that except by showcasing solidarity, empathy, patience, and practicing the good values in the month. Ramadan is not about experiencing hunger. It is through that hunger you are developing many great qualities. And that is the maqsood of this. And that is the maqsood of the month of Ramadan. Right? And therefore, in one example, Rasulullah said, there is going to be an individual coming through this door, and he is the person of Jannah. And repeatedly the same man walked through the door in the presence of Sahaba Rizwanullahi alayhim ajma'in in the Masjid Nabawi. Once, twice, three times. And when Sahabi said, let me find out what is a special amal that this Sahabi does, that Rasulullah 3 days in a row gave the glad tidings that this person who is walking on earth is actually among the people of Jannah. So he went out to find the good qualities about the person, and he spent a few days, to cut the long narration short, at home to observe and monitor the a'mal and the acts of the individual. He said, I did not really see anything unusual. He would sleep through the entire night. Of course, he would wake up for Salatul Fajr, and whenever he would twist and turn, toss and turn, he would only remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I decided to belittle his status. But then I had to ask him, Wallahi, tell me that what is a special amal that you do, because I heard 3 days in a row Rasulullah giving the glad tidings about you that you are a person of Jannah. He said, you see me as you see me. And then he started to walk away. but then he said, let me tell you one thing that if that could make a sense. That I'm a person who do not hold anything against anyone. My heart is very clean and I cherish goodwill towards all. I said, ذَاكَ, it is this that has earned you maqam, what Rasulullah has described. It is this one. So dear brothers and sisters, in the end, of course, time is of the essence. We really have a lot of work to do. We need to get serious about our a'mal, our action, and prioritize in this month to really rediscover yourself and your strength and rediscover your own qualities. The negative one, especially to focus on and to transform them into positive. So as we spend the remaining days of Ramadan, especially as we are getting nearer to the best part of Ramadan, the last 10 days of Ramadan, right? The best part of Ramadan is the last 10 days of Ramadan. So what we need to capitalize and optimize and prioritize in these days, of course, focus on your soul. Focus on your character. Like I said, Ramadan is not about hunger and thirst. It is beyond that. It is beyond that. And if our fasting has not helped you to understand the purpose and the maqsood of fasting, then we truly have failed. We truly have failed. And we have already failed as we see, as I have said. But let this Ramadan not be one of those ones that has not transformed us into a truly devout abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first thing is, as Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala says, sincere tawbah and istighfar. Rasulullah said one of the things that you need to increase in the month of Ramadan is istighfar. What istighfar does and helps is to really understand how weak we are and how vulnerable we are in terms of our a'mal. And it is istighfar that keeps us humble and also keeps us grounded. So istighfar is number one thing. And with istighfar, of course, we also need to increase a lot of dua. A lot of dua for yourself, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to enable you to see your own flaws. We do not like others to criticize us. But one of the things that you should do a favor to yourself, oh Allah, enable me to see my own flaws. Allow me to see what are my strengths versus what are my weaknesses. And do actively this, right? And make sure that you do not engage in anything that is going to be contrary to the spirit of Ramadan. Right? And make lots of dua to the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We, as the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, are in dire need of the rahmat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we need to really be very much dedicated in terms of our dua and sincere dua, asking Allah to change the conditions of the ummah and restore the glory and the peace in the Muslim regions, right? Because it is this, if we are able to achieve, that would be really the greatest achievement of the month of Ramadan. And we hope and pray that what we have discussed, it really helps us to really dive deeper into ourselves and to change our perspective and to change our mindset and behavior. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us tawfiq. Time is up. Inshallah, we'll continue next Friday with other topics. But the most important part is that, we take lessons that have been discussed here. Barakallahu feekum wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.